Hi, and welcome to Be Present with Koch. This is a video series that we've started to talk about the importance of being present in your life, being present with dying, death, and grief. And today we're going to talk about why rituals are important and why it's important to be present at rituals. I'm happy to welcome Glenn Fleming. He is the supervisor and a funeral director with Koch Funeral Home, and he's with us here today to share his wisdom and knowledge about the importance of rituals. So welcome, Glenn.
Thank you very much, Jackie.
Before we begin our conversation, I want to share a little bit about what Glenn and I were talking about prior to starting this recording. And we were looking at the word ritual and what it means to us. I think as you'll hear in this conversation, for Glenn, rituals make him think of religious rituals and things that have been around for many, many years and done again and again. For me, I've expanded that definition, and it really includes services. Any kind of ceremony or service can be a ritual, as well as rituals that you can perform on your own. That's something that can be healing as well if you want to do an individual service at your home when you're going through a loss or change or transition. So we'll talk a little bit about the meanings of ritual and also why they are so important. And I want to begin by asking you, Glenn, with the work that you do, it's obvious that you believe in the importance of ritual. And why is that?
Well, first of all, I grew up in the Catholic faith, and they have lots of rituals that they perform. And then when I came here, this community has many, many different religious groups. And so I've learned a lot by serving those families, make me believe that the rituals that each faith has are their rituals and they're important to them.
Thank you. And I know when you and I started talking about me becoming a celebrant, we wanted to offer that to people who might not have a faith-based home or a religious background. And so we've developed different kinds of services and rituals for those people as well. Many of you may have heard about rituals where people release something during a service to kind of symbolize releasing their loved one. And I've done candle lightings as part of services. So there are a variety of rituals. Do you have any stories that you want to share about the importance of rituals?
Well, I think first of all, funerals are a reflection of what's happening in society. So in recent years, people have been kind of moving away from organized religion. That's been reflected in the type of services that people are requesting these days. So perhaps it's safe to say that we are searching for new rituals that reflect the way they represent their lives. I do believe that we're in a state of transition with all traditions and rituals. One thing that I have observed is that people seem to do better when they have rituals to follow. So I think that's really important.
I agree. I think Alan Wolfeld, who's done a lot of work in grief and loss, talks about, when there aren't words, then you have a ceremony or a ritual. It can help heal us. It can help move us. We talked a little bit about, in my training as a celebrant, we learned about separation, transition, and incorporation. Those are the phases of a rite of passage, and rituals help do that. They help move you from one place to another, being held in community in the process. So are there any rituals that feel especially meaningful to you?
Well, again, I go back to the religious rituals. I'm always very impressed with certain religions, such as the Catholic Jewish, and all of the Orthodox religions, such as the Greek, the Russian, the Buddhist, the Hindu, Islamic, and Muslim. I think they're all very interesting customs and rituals that are very comforting to them. At the same time, I think other non-religious rituals and traditions are growing as people move away from religion. And by that, I mean, then we'll go back to the life celebrant that you are. You learn different ways to celebrate people's lives. I think hospice gets involved with some rituals. A lot of other people who are non-religious have developed some rituals that are important, such as balloon releasing and dove releasing. They're acts that seem to make sense to them, and as long as that makes sense to them, I think that's okay.
Yeah, wow. And I'm sure you've seen it change over the years.
We have.
Right. And speaking of change, during the pandemic, Koch Funeral Home has had to make a lot of changes to allow people to be present in new kinds of ways, right? You want to talk a little bit about some of those changes?
Sure. One of the things I've learned through my career is it's always changing, to be honest with you. It's changing faster now than it used to. And it's sometimes a little difficult to keep up with it. But when we got into the red zone where no one was allowed essentially in the building, then we moved to the yellow zone where we had 10 people and then finally 25. Right now we're in a green zone where we can have 50% of capacity, which is about 60 people thereabouts. Still following the social distancing and using masks and that sort of thing. At first we had services on Zoom. We had a few of those. But people, their families and friends could be safely at home and still feel like they were part of the service. They could also participate. Then we went a little further, and as a funeral home, we designed some other safe gatherings. At this time, if you'd like me to go over those, I can do that.
Please, thank you.
But one of them would be the online tribute wall, where you can go on our website and put different things that's meant for families. You could have a tribute video, which a lot of people were already doing before the COVID virus. Some of the new things would be having visitations with facility group visitation where you'd actually be here. We also thought about doing drive-in visitations where you would drive over a portico and say hello to the family. Or you could do virtual visitations online. So some of the funeral services and memorial service would be in-person services. We've thought of drive-up services where you actually park in our parking lot and we would have it broadcast to your radio station. And you could also do a virtual remembrance circle. Obviously, graveside services are more safe, I think, than other ones are a little closer together. And one thing that's been very good has been what we call Tribute Cast. It's actually a live stream and website portal that we put on for the family that they can share with anybody throughout wherever they happen to be. It doesn't make any difference. And that has turned out to be fairly popular at this point. So I still think people are a little hesitant to come out and be in close quarters with people. And those who aren't here at a distance can take part in it as well. So that seems to be very appealing to families.
And all of those talk about the importance of being present, whether it's in person or virtually, but being a part of the services for the individual.
I'm of the opinion you should have services sooner than later. I think by delaying them, I don't think you do anybody any good. I just think it helps you face the facts sooner. We're also observing all the cleaning rules and all the social distancing rules, which I think is very important. We require a mask of everybody to come in. We require them to come in one door and follow 6 feet apart until they get to the family. Then they have to go out another door. So we're being very careful about how we're doing this.
And the feedback we've gotten from people is that they're so grateful that they can attend in these different ways. For example, webcasting. You've learned that people have attended services they never thought or never would have been able to attend, but they could, and they felt as if they were a part of it. So it's really...
I certainly agree with that. I think we're in transition from what we were doing before as a group population to whatever's going to be next.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what it's going to be.
Right. But what we know is that love and grief can't wait, right? When you lose someone, the love that you have for them is still there. And some of it becomes grief, and you need ways to express it and know that your community is there to support you in it. And so you don't want to put off doing things, you want to be able to have opportunities to come together. And we want people to feel comfortable. Some people are comfortable coming together and some people aren't. So thankfully you've created different ways for them to be together, either in person or...
Well, it's really pointed out to me, and I think I knew it before, but this really points it out vividly, is to share with your relatives and your friends is very, very important. So to be able not to do that has been a problem.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to say about how rituals have changed during your career?
Well, that's a good question. We're still doing, the object is still the same, and it's to care for people at the time of death, not only for the deceased, but also for the families. So that is never going to change, in my opinion. And you want to do it in a respectful and dignified manner. So when it's all over, people are pleased with how you celebrate their life.
And I think it speaks to what you have said many times, that this work is not about closure. This work is about helping people begin their lives without their loved one in a healthy and meaningful way. And so that's always going to be necessary and always important.
That's correct. I thought my first number of years in funeral service was about taking care of dead bodies. And then I finally figured out it was more like running a business. And I finally had found out it's none of those things really. It's about caring for people to help them begin their journey without their partner or their child.
Yeah. It's important work, very important work. And you've done it for a few years.
I have. I've been in it since 1962.
Wow.
Don't do the math.
Can you think of a time when you felt very present?
I think so. Early on in my career, I had the sad experience of having a neighbor child who was about 9 or 10 years old. And for the first time, he was allowed to cross a busy street. And when he did, he got hit with a car and died, of course, 2 hours later. So that was, I felt like it was part of the family. I still be in touch with that family from time to time. And I don't know how much more present you can be than serving a family like that.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us. I know that there is a quote that you like that I want to share now with everyone, and it's from William Gladstone. And he said, "Show me the manner in which a nation or a community cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender sympathies of its people, their respects for the laws of the land, and their loyalty to high ideals."
Amen.
Yeah, it says a lot.
It does.
So thank you again for being with us today. And we look forward to all of you joining us again next month when we'll come to you with a different topic.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.